Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Susan McGuire of ACCE, and I'm so happy to welcome you to this afternoon's webinar. Today, you're going to hear from Norma Lansing, President and CEO of the Effingham County Chamber in Illinois, and Jerry Kachuk, Principal of the Altamont Community High School, about their award-winning program created by the Chamber called Manufacturing Day. So it's going to be a fascinating story about how it began, how it's going, what the future is, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you all. Just a few notes before we get started. First, my apologies for the slight delay as we got everything set up. So glad you guys hung in there with us. Second, attendees are all in listen-only mode during the webinar to avoid background noise, but you can ask questions, and the way you do that is to type them into the question bar, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. So open that up, type in your questions. Please feel free to type them in as soon as you have a question, and we will take them all at the end. So please do that. And then I have the webinar slides uploaded to the webinar panel on the right-hand side. You can open the panel called Handouts, click, it will download and you'll have it right there. I will also post the presentation slides with the recording, and that recording should be up either tomorrow or Monday, no later than Monday. And finally, we are delighted to have with us today to say a few words before the webinar, Mark Sedgley of MemberClicks. And MemberClicks is the sponsor of our Chamber of the Year program and this series, and we're delighted to have him here. So Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Susan. I really appreciate it. And Jerry and Norma, we're excited to hear your presentation today. So I'll keep my portion brief. My name's Mark. I am the artist formerly known as the CEO of MemberClicks, which is now a Personify company, and now I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Personify. During our time, we are have been and will continue to be incredibly committed to the chamber community. Our Atlas product serves over 700 chambers, and now as a combined entity, we have all kinds of products that we can bring to the market. So we're super excited to continue to support ACCE and chambers across America, because the stuff you do is super important, which we're going to hear about some of what we did, for manufacturing days coming up, which is going to be great. So thank you for the time and for allowing us to, be the sponsor. We genuinely appreciate it, and I hope that you guys can have a great experience. Jerry, if you'll just hit the slides really quickly for me. Sorry, since I don't have control.
Hang on a second.
We had it perfectly before. We promise.
I thought I did.
That's okay. But just so you guys know, like our mission at MemberClicks and at Personify is to empower you to thrive through refreshing technology and a heart for service. And we want to do that in really meaningful ways, both through our product, through our service, through our engagement, etc. And we want to make the stuff that you need to do every single day just that much easier, so that you can be more efficient with your time. You can lean in on the things that matter, i.e. like membership programs, events that you're trying to put on when they come back, which hopefully we're getting closer and closer to. And we really want to continue to engage at a high level. So we're super excited to be here. Thank you. Good job. We fixed it. And if you have any questions about MemberClicks, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And Susan, thank you so much for always allowing us to come in here and say a few words. And I hope you guys have a great webinar today.
Thanks so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do a super quick introduction of our two wonderful presenters today, and then we will get started with the content. Norma Lansing is an Illinois accredited chamber executive and a 40-year veteran in Chamber of Commerce management. She's the president and CEO of the Effingham County Chamber, as I mentioned, overseeing the programs and services that the chamber provides to its over 550 members and the greater Effingham region. Special note that Norma is retiring from the chamber world on April 30th, so congratulations, Norma. We are so grateful for your service in this program and others. Really, really happy for you and thankful for all you've done for the chamber industry. And then Jerry Kachuk currently serves as the principal at Altamont Community High School. He's been in public education for 31 years, working as a band director, music teacher, curriculum director, and administrator. He's the chairman of the Effingham County Manufacturing Day and Regional Office of Education Curriculum Cooperative. He's been involved in the creation of the construction trades class and the Effingham County Career Academy, serving on multiple committees throughout the county and region. And Jerry will also be retiring from education in December. So congratulations and thank you, Jerry. At this point, Norma, I am going to turn things over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you to member cliques and ACCE for the tremendous honor of being named Chamber of the Year. We're very, very proud of this award. And as they say, the third time is a charm. So although I'm sure that all of the 2020 winners would have preferred to walk across the stage in Dallas last summer, the virtual presentation that was held last fall was so very well done. And we really appreciate that. So here we are trying to celebrate with two people in my office huddled over a small computer and going crazy when we did win. But so thank you again for that. Thanks to all of you. If I could encourage anybody listening today to go through the process and make the attempt to receive that Chamber of the Year honor. Just the process in itself is so valuable to the chamber itself that I would encourage you, if you haven't completed the dynamic benchmarking survey, please do that and see where that takes you. So we did celebrate in January. We waited a little bit and we celebrated in January with weekly drive-through events. So we had Wake Up Wednesday, Tea Time Tuesday, Wind Down Wednesday, and then Founders Day in the snow. As you see there, we were handing out lunches as cars drove through our parking lot in the snow. So it was a great celebration. Then we had, of course, our city and the county proclamations that were signed. So now we're kind of back to earth and moving on with programs. So just a little bit about the Effingham County Chamber. We are a 104-year-old organization. We currently have a membership of 600, which represents nearly 15,000 employees with a staff of 4 people. We have a membership director, a marketing director, an office manager, in addition to the CEO. And actually, my replacement started this week, so there's 2 CEOs for the chamber right now for a couple till the end of the month. We do own our own building and house the full-time office of our county economic development organization, plus host a representative of the state's economic development organization as well. Early this year, we moved our workforce development initiatives to our foundation, and we just recently retained an independent talent attraction director. So we're really moving forward with our workforce development, talent attraction initiatives in a big way, and may have made that investment in a person to lead that challenge for us. So where in the world is Effingham County, Illinois? As you can see on the map, we are in southeastern Illinois with a population of 35,000 people. What really makes Effingham County unique, though, is that location at the intersection of 2 major interstates, 2 major mainline railroads, with 34% of the population within just 8 hours and 75% of the population within 16 hours. So obviously we are attractive for manufacturing and distribution companies. So I'm going to have Jerry take over for a little bit and talk about these companies that are here.
Good afternoon, everyone. So when Norma first asked me to be involved in this organization, to be fair, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, which has a lot of manufacturing and a lot of reasons and a lot of fame attached with that. But as we started to go through and look at what we were seeing in terms of manufacturers, it turns out that literally 1,000 feet from where Norma and I are sitting right now is a company called Irwin Telescopic Seating. They redid all the seats in Wrigley Field. They have, if you watch the World Cup soccer matches from Russia a couple of years ago, every stadium that they built for that had seats that were made 1,000 feet from where I'm sitting right now. The John Booz Company, who makes butcher blocks, which are the exclusive butcher blocks on the Food Network. We have Seymour Milling, Continental Mills. We have a mid-central regional distribution for Sherwin-Williams. There are manufacturers here in Effingham County who are internationally famous. To get ahead a little bit of the story, the first year that we did this, our students went to a place called Kingery Printing. And as they were there, Kingery passed out, these are some of the typical things we do. And every one of the kids, being boys, this being Southern Illinois, it being that time of year, they were NASCAR programs, and realized that not just a program for a single race, but every program that is printed for NASCAR is printed in Effingham, Illinois. That became a realization for the kids that there are things that happen here that they don't know. And actually, when it comes to printing, there are things they'll never know, because any brochure or pamphlet or handbook that you pick up does not say where it was printed. So they began to realize they were in a much bigger world than just the 35,000 Effingham County population that they'd become accustomed to.
And we do have 65 manufacturer distributors that call Effingham County home. So just drilling a little bit farther into why manufacturing is such an important part of our economy. So if you look at the occupation statistics, you can see there that manufacturing is actually number 2 behind healthcare. But from a product manufacturing distribution, they are, actually key to the economy of our community, and also why the chamber has such a huge emphasis on the manufacturing industry. So as we look at why Manufacturing Day, well, there is an National Manufacturing Day. If you're not familiar with that, I would certainly suggest that you check that out. National Manufacturing Day began in 2012. It is nationally recognized on the first Friday in October every year, and it is described as the biggest event to interest the next generation in manufacturing careers. And so those two color slides there at the bottom really kind of drills down and brings home why any student, any individual looking to go into a new career or continue into a career of manufacturing should be a great option. The annual average income of $87,000, and the fact that in the next decade 4.6 million jobs will be needed. I think that people will find manufacturing to be a viable option for them for a very long time. So let's talk about Effingham County Manufacturing Day and a little bit about what we've done and how we've gotten there. So just kind of an overview of what Manufacturing Day, what our purpose and goal of Manufacturing Day is. It's just to celebrate modern manufacturing and its contribution to our area, and to educate our stakeholders, on modern manufacturing and especially those young people, interesting them in career and education opportunities that exist here. For us, we've realized that we are in the cornfields of Illinois, and for young people, we want to capture their attention while they're still in school and before they've gone off to college, to realize that wherever they go to continue their education, that there are opportunities here that they can come back to. And so as you all aware, the Chamber of the Year application process links to the Horizon Initiative, and so we chose Catalytic Leadership as the Horizon Initiative that this event collaborates with in just altering public perceptions of the industry. And we do have 6 high schools in Effingham County, which is kind of unique as well. So our first Manufacturing Day event was held in 2013. We had 150 students from 8 schools that day, including, we include students from alternative education programs, students with behavioral problems, students who, for whatever reason, just a regular school setting isn't for them. We had 10 manufacturers actually participate right away because they're looking for people all the time. The picture in the lower left is the governor of Illinois at that time, who actually came to our Manufacturing Day, toured some of the businesses with the students, and really Illinois does place a big focus on Manufacturing Day. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how does that process work? What do we do? And so as you know, we're bringing these students from 8 different high schools to a common location. And from there, they are actually paired up. They don't get to go with their school. They get to go with students from combined from all these schools together in these groups. And so when you're mixing those students from various high schools together, it creates an interesting dynamic. But we've learned over time that that really works well. They get to know each other in a different way. They realize that they can compete on the basketball court, on the football field, or wherever that is on Friday night or Saturday or whenever, but they can come together to learn. And there's some other unique things that we'll be talking about a little bit later in that environment. So, you know, the other thing is we have great support for this event from our city government, our county government, our economic development organization, and our community colleges. They are major partners with us on this initiative. So fast forwarding to the 7th one that we held, the most recent one that we held in 2019, because we weren't able to have one obviously in 2020. But so 2019, we had 270 students from 15 schools. So we are attracting students and interest from students and schools that are outside of our immediate county. So that's really important too, because the draw for an industry that employs, you know, 5,000–6,000 people has to be beyond the borders of Effingham County. But actually, you know, every year we all evaluate the event as after we do one. We evaluate what went well, what needs to be changed. And every year we've done that. And then in 2019, we actually flipped the order of the day, because we used to bring them together, send them out on these tours, bring them back for lunch, and do some activities. And they never really got that chance to build that team. So in 2019, we started them out with team building. If you look at the picture on the lower right, they had to build a balloon tower, and they got a bag full of empty balloon, you know, and not inflated balloons, and a piece of paper that gave some instructions, and they had to figure out how to build a tower together. And that changed the whole dynamic of that day. And we heard that from the manufacturers, the business people involved, and all the ways that really made a difference. And I would just say it's a pretty inexpensive project to produce. For us, it's about a $6,000 expense. So our partners are very important for that. But in terms of what you can do in your community and how you can support education, support your businesses, it's a pretty inexpensive way. I'm going to give Jerry a little time to talk about more about the student experiences, because it's pretty unique what happens during that event.
As Norma said, when we get the students there, we break them into groups so that, for a couple of reasons. One, we have 10 to 15 manufacturers. There's no way that we could take 15 schools to 15 manufacturers and have all of them benefit from that travel and experience. The manufacturers wouldn't have time to do it and to do it justice. So the students get to know each other, as Norma said, but when they return for lunch, they get to talk to each other, and they get to say, hey, you should have been where I was. You should have seen this. It was really cool. They get to go to that student they know would have an interest and say, this is a company I think you want to take a closer look at. One of the things over the course of the 7 years that we've done this, that we've added, is that we invite the manufacturers to set up a booth at lunch, so that students who want more information that saw something on the tour, or students that saw something they think one of their other classmates would be interested in on the tour, they bring them over to the booths. And that really sets up a dialogue between the manufacturers and the students. Going all the way back to when we first sat down, in that picture in the lower right, the governor is the tall gentleman. The gentleman in the light blue shirt, his name is Joe Forbes. He runs a company called Versatech. He was probably as instrumental in this whole thing getting started as anybody, because he said, I need employees. And he decided it was silly for him not to be looking for employees here in Effingham County. The problem that we ran into, as we talked about this with students, was students believed manufacturing to be something that was boring, was dirty, and that old people did. Well, what we decided to do is take them into these shops and take them into these places and show them what it really looks like. You can see that from the picture, all the pictures in the center. And as they got to realize that, I will tell you that the first year that we went, going back to Kingery printing, one of the students was finally brave enough to ask a question. The student said, "What's your greatest need?" And the gentleman from Kingery said, "Maintenance." And there were about 20 kids. I would say probably 10 or 12 of them kind of closed their eyes and shook their heads. And he said, "You know, you misunderstand. You think I mean mopping floors and cleaning bathrooms." And he pointed the machine directly behind him. And he said, "That machine costs me $100,000 a day. Every day it doesn't work. And I will pay whoever I have to pay, whatever I have to pay them, to make sure that machine never costs me $100,000. Well, all of a sudden those eyes opened and the heads kind of straightened. And they realized he's talking about computers. I like computers. I could do that. There were two students who were looking around who realized that they were in a brand new building that somebody had built. Their interests were clearly more in construction, but we were starting to see that we were finding things that students were finding an interest in. My math teacher at the time, one year went on a summer tour of Seymour Milling, one of our manufacturers has been in from the very beginning in Teutopolis. And she came back, and that year she insisted that her entire statistics class go to manufacturing day to realize, one, what statistics looks like, what they're doing in the classroom and how it's applied in these manufacturers, but also that these manufacturers are looking for people who have some skills in statistics. It's not just about the people on the line. It's not just about the people in the shop. There are HR people, there are accountants. There are all kinds of opportunities in these companies, these internationally known companies in Effingham County, for our students to find employment. The students every year have come back and they've all talked about what they've learned, what they saw. And for the students that maybe those kids that we talk to as principals that don't know what they want to do, some of them are going to college just because they figure that's what people do. They've all of a sudden had a door open to them. The other piece that is starting to really happen now that's coming out of this is now that students understand what the manufacturing is and understand how important these companies are, they're showing an interest. Well, the employers will sit and talk to Norma and I, and they'll tell us, we need students. And it's taken a while for them to understand that what I've been preaching for the entire time. I allow colleges to come into my school and recruit students. I allow the military to come into my school and recruit students. Why would I not allow manufacturers and businesses to come into my school and recruit students? We've had a couple of companies take us up on that. They've hired anywhere from 5 to 6, and as we talk to them, we say that, you know, we don't want to talk to the entire junior class because out of that junior class, we might have 1 or 2 people interested. We only want to talk to those 1 or 2 people. So it's helped to really pare down and focus and open the eyes of the manufacturers to, if you need something from the schools, come to the schools and let us know, and we'll be happy to help you. The one piece, and I don't know, I might steal Norma's thunder in this one, but that's okay because she's used to that from me. I know a lot of you out there are sitting thinking as you're seeing some of this, boy, this is great. How'd you do it? I'm gonna tell you the truth, because nobody told us we couldn't. You know, this marriage between the chamber and the businesses and the schools has just been a wonderful thing that's happened here in Effingham County. And I'll say again, we've done it because nobody said we couldn't, so we just went ahead and did it. So I would say, as you look at this saying, well, this is not possible, it's entirely possible wherever you might be. So I'm going to turn it back to Norma.
So as Jerry said, we have learned a lot in the 7 years that we've done Manufacturing Day, and we're not done. You know, because of COVID, we have to look at it differently, and we didn't get to do anything in 2020. And but we are looking at how can we continue to offer these opportunities for students, for businesses, and really it's all about supporting our community, making it stronger, making sure our employers' needs are being met, and all of those things. So the value that we see in Manufacturing Day, you know, in those bullet points across the top, you really can't place a value on that the connections that occur between businesses and students, and what that ends up happening in the future. Whether the student goes on to college for 4 years or longer, or goes directly into the workplace, or goes to the 2-year community college, they built those relationships and they built those connections that help to bring them back. Because we all know, once students leave home, so to speak, sometimes, there's got to be a strong reason to get them to come back. So we're trying to build those reasons. Awareness of manufacturing as this high-tech skilled career. It's not your grandfather's manufacturing. It's not dark, dirty assembly line work. It's high-tech, it's computers, it's clean, all different kinds of jobs. And, I think the other thing we've learned we've been able to show students is manufacturing isn't just about producing product. It's about the technology that takes place, the research and development that takes place, the business part of of the HR, the accounting, the sales and marketing, and all those aspects of a business you can find in manufacturing, plus the use of technology to create a product. Very positive interaction between the youth and the adults that occur. Can't say enough about the community pride. We're very proud of this event. It's very well known in our region. Probably it's one of the best programs in Illinois to make those connections with young people and our business community. It's obviously filling a community need, and as Jerry mentioned earlier, that real world application of what they're learning in the classroom is so important. And the students agree. There's some comments there. We survey our students every year. We survey our hosts, manufacturing hosts, our volunteers. We have business people and teachers who serve as chaperones with the students throughout the day. So there's just so many things that we have learned from this event that is moving us into new directions, which is what we're going to talk about now. So for a long time, we've realized that a one-day event is good, but it's not best, because you interest them, you get students all excited about manufacturing day, that one day, and then what? So we've been working on the then what for a while, but we know we need to grow it to a more than a one-day event. It needs to be something that's ongoing and year-round to make those connections happen. So we've recently, as I mentioned, I think early on, we recently hired a talent attraction director through our Chamber Foundation to manage our workforce development initiatives. So he's actually a retired superintendent here at Altamont that we've managed to hire. And so he is working right now on identifying a virtual platform that we can use in a variety of ways, one of which is to keep those connections between businesses and students together. Students through this platform will be able to study different career opportunities. They'll be able to earn badges in areas that they're interested in and use those as stepping stone to connect with businesses for job opportunities. And of course, we want to drill this down into the lower grades because right now, because of the size and the number of students we have, we can only really accommodate seniors in high school, but we really want to not only drill down below seniors in high school, but we want to get down into the junior high and lower grades as well. And so Manufacturing Day, the Effingham Regional Career Academy is a big project that we're working on right now. It is a career and technical education high school curriculum that's actually going to be housed in a building that's going to be built by our community college and housed on our community college campus, so that students can actually go to the Career Academy instead of their regular high school class to learn how math is taught in a technical way, how technical writing skills, all of those things that they can learn right in high school to help them get a leg up in their career options. We talked about the talent attraction director. We're really working on beginning to work on internships and apprenticeships. We've made some connections with other colleges in Illinois and how we can do that in an effective way, to the point of we're looking at creating our own Effingham County internship and apprenticeship program. So more to come on that. And then just the whole idea of this county-wide curriculum. And I'm going to let Jerry explain what that is.
We are going to work with a company called Workbay that basically exposes to students a number of different careers. It has embedded videos that take students to the job, that allow them to listen to people who have worked. One of the things that our students came away with, and it was nice to watch them figure this out for themselves, was that there are people in these companies they're visiting that have been there for 15, 20, 30, 40 years getting ready to retire, which one means that job will be open, but two told them they must really like working here. They started to change the way they thought. So this Workbay will not only allow students to pursue an interest. I've laughed about the fact that when I was in 6th grade, I think I wanted to be a cowboy. I think that was my life goal. Here I am, a principal. But if I had looked at the things that really involved being a cowboy, I probably would have realized that starting with ride a horse would have been the end of my cowboy career. So students can pursue any number of things until they find the thing they like. Then as they go through that, they begin to earn badges. Now, the companies that are looking for students to possibly give internships or looking for students to hire, they can also go in and look, not at the specific student, but they can look and they can say, hey, there are 3 students at Effingham High School. There are 4 students at Dietrich High School who show a real aptitude and a real interest in what we're looking for. They can contact the guidance counselor and say, can you set up that, just what we talked about earlier, can you set up a meeting? I'd like to talk to these kids. And now we have a direct line from student interest through the counselor right to the employer. Because as we said earlier, too many of our students think college is the way, and I'll be honest, too many of our parents think college is the way too. My oldest son gave me the wake-up call the day in our car that he told me he wanted to be a welder. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I tell it because my boys make me look stupid all the time. And I said to him, you're like 7th in your class. You should be thinking about college, law school, those type things. He asked me 2 questions that forever just froze me. And the first was, do you know how much welders make? I didn't, I have to be honest. He said, in 2 years, if I'm willing to travel, I'll be making more money than you. That woke me up. The second thing he said was, when we drive up to Wisconsin and we cross the Illinois River on that bridge, I want you to look at that bridge and think, ha. So this was put together by stupid people. It woke me up. It was the greatest cold bucket of water I ever could have gotten. Workbay allows students across the spectrum. Just because we think they should go to college doesn't necessarily mean that they think they should go to college. So it is a program that allows students the freedom away from influence to show a true interest in what they want to do, to earn badges and to show that they're serious about that career, and then allow those people in those careers to match up to what the students are looking for. Oh, the countywide curriculum. So I'm sorry, that's where I was supposed to be talking about here. So the countywide curriculum means that this will be taking place in every one of the schools: Effingham High School, Dietrich School District, Beecher City School District, Teutopolis School District, Altamont School District, and even the St. Anthony private school, the grade schools and high school will be participating, so that whatever school we have here will all be in the same place. That 6th graders at Dietrich and 6th graders at Altamont will be the same. They tried this several years ago with regular school curriculum. It's going to work now with this industrial technology curriculum that we're going to develop, so that every school is on board. We are looking at solving all the problems about shared instructors, everything shared, so that Effingham County becomes a place where anybody can come to. Norma said earlier, we have expanded to 15 or 16 schools from outside the county. It's really no longer Effingham County Manufacturing Day, it's Effingham Area Manufacturing Day. And hopefully then, as this curriculum takes off, we can get other area counties involved and have them join this curriculum as well. And now we've sort of started to take care of an area for student preparation from grades, really from 5 all the way through 12, that has been greatly overlooked by all of us in education. Thank you. Okay, I think I finally talked about the box I was supposed to talk about.
And finally, just to mention the fact that you can look at the value of a program and evaluate a program by You know, how do people react to it? And so we know that this program, the Effingham County Manufacturing Day, is working because people in other industries want to get in. And what does that mean? It means that the automotive industry, because of, you know, obviously we're sitting here in the middle of a huge transportation area, so we have a lot of a big automotive, industry. So they're also looking for employees. So how can we do something similar for the automotive industry? How can we do it for the construction industry? You know, I think at some point in time we even start looking at those white collar professional jobs in healthcare, in banking, and all of those things that are a huge part of our economy. So that's Manufacturing Day. I'd love to answer any questions anybody has. Or Jerry and I will just keep talking for a while. But thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And hopefully you learned a little bit about a program that takes a lot of plan. It does take a lot of planning, but at the end of the day is just a very rewarding experience. We all walk away from that day feeling very good about the future of our community, because we have very strong young people and building these very strong relationships. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Norma and Jerry. I really appreciate that great information. And folks, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the question box. I have a few to get started, but we certainly have time for more. So go ahead and ask any questions you want, and I will read them out. The first question had to do with the age group that you serve, and I think you said that it was seniors. Further question, is there a selection process, or does everyone from that grade get to go and participate?
So that's an area we turn over to the counselors. Our counselors know our kids very, very well, and they know what kids would benefit. We look at our numbers. We've said we try to keep the groups under 20. So to do that, as people have said, we need more manufacturers. With 15 manufacturers at 20 people on a tour, that's 300 students, which is a good number for our county. But Effingham County being the biggest school, they get to bring the most students. We try to divide it up by population. To this point in 7 years, we've never told a student they can't come. So it's basically done by sign up at the school. We have talked about the fact that senior year might be too late, but now trying to figure out which junior high school students do you leave home, because that's really where we want to try to attract them to begin thinking about careers. So Manufacturing Day in the format we have right now may not work the best. That's why we've talked about things like a manufacturer of the week or a manufacturer of a 2-week period, where every time students open their computers, information about that manufacturer is present to them before they log into everything else. So the selection process is really very easy. Splitting them up into groups, if you can deal cards, is really very easy. So that shouldn't be an issue. And again, depending on the size of your groups, if a group's bigger than 20 in some of our manufacturers, it's very difficult to hear what they're talking about on the tour. So that's why we try to limit the size of the groups to 20. So the more manufacturers that you can actually get involved, the more students you can get involved in the process.
Okay, great. Question about plans going forward. What are the plans post-COVID if you can't do large groups by the fall or enter actual manufacturing plants?
Well, we're still working out some of those details, but we know that this year there will not be a Manufacturing Day in the sense that we've been doing it. Although, you know, we certainly think that 2022 we will be able to get back to doing something. So we're looking at using using technology as a way to expose students to those individual manufacturers. And like I said, we're still working out plans for that. With our talent attraction director is charged with that task of figuring out how can we do that. But Jerry kind of mentioned it in passing, but because of COVID, pretty much every school student has their own individual laptop, Chromebook, whatever technology is being used. So there's optimal ways to reach them putting something right in front of them. As Jerry mentioned, when they open up their laptop in the morning and there's, the school puts whatever information out in front of them that they want to, why can't we also put that information in front of them about job opportunities? As I don't think there's a community in the country that's not struggling with finding enough employees to fill jobs. So connecting the dots with the students in the classroom is a critical piece of how businesses can start making those connections, things, but it all ties together. It ties together from that starting point of the connection and then building the relationships and the opportunities like internships and apprenticeships to do all of those things and to really make that a solid and strong program for our students.
Okay, thank you. Question about the budget for the event and whether you have sponsorships. This person asking the question would love to see how you pull this off from an income and staff hours perspective.
Well, we have a great volunteer group. That's a big part of it. Like I said, we're a small staff. And so, but all the funding, I think I mentioned it in one of the slides, all the funding for this comes from sponsorships. Major sponsorship, the three that pay for the bulk of it, our city government, our county government, and our economic development organization. The chamber provides the staffing. That's our contribution to the effort. We ask each manufacturer involved to give us a small amount of money to help support everything that we have to do. All the students are provided with safety equipment. They're provided with goggles. They're provided with earplugs. They're provided with what they need to be able to go into that manufacturer and have the proper PPE. So that's provided to them. Lunch is provided to them. So, it's not really expensive program, but I understand, I agree, $6,000 just coming out of my budget would be not easy to do. But having those investors, sponsors is very important.
Okay. And then finally, just a detail on the day. How many tours does each student get to do during the day?
They get to do 2 because, when you've got 15 school districts, some of those students are traveling close to an hour, some of them, 45 minutes to an hour. So that's after they get to school. So our day gets started around 9:30 in the morning. So they get to do 2 tours. We try to do one after lunch a couple times, but some schools then, because of the distance, they have to get back on the road to go back to the classroom, to go back to school, to be able to catch their bus to go home. So we've kept it to 2 1-hour tours. So they get quite a bit into that time frame. But that's the number. That seems to be the best number we've been able to find. I'd love to see us be able to do more.
The first year we did 3 tours and we kept the kids broken up in groups, and we realized that when a bus to a certain school is waiting for kids that are on a tour to come back, they're being held up. The other thing, we didn't really include this in here, but Manufacturing Day is the first Friday in October. We bumped it to the first Thursday in October because we run into homecoming here. That's typically homecoming week for a lot of our schools. And so our students, long about 12 o'clock, they want to get back because there's pep rallies and there's football games and there's all parades. There's all sorts of things happening that Friday. So we moved ours back to Thursday to avoid that. The year that was kind of successful, we did 3 tours. On the 3rd tour, you stayed in your school group. So Altamont students, rather than being broken up, all went together to go someplace like a Versatech or Peerless or McCann-Event, whatever it would be. That worked a little better, but again, still, we had some schools that would tell us even as late as 2 days before, yeah, we're not staying for that 3rd tour. Now you've got a manufacturer who's set up to give kids a tour and there's nobody there. So that's why we decided it was probably best to have lunch. The other piece about lunch for all of you out there to know, the first year we had really wonderful chicken, green beans, And our kids wanted hamburgers and hot dogs and potato chips. So now we've actually got ham sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, we have veggie sandwiches. We've broken it down. It's really inexpensive. We have a store IGA in Alto, and excuse me, in Effingham, takes care of all the lunches for us. So those are the things you kind of start to try to nail down a little bit that are going a lot more smoothly.
All right, that all makes great sense. Oops, here we go. All right, well, thank you so much for your presentation, Jerry and Norma. This is wonderful, and appreciate everyone's participation and interest. And if you do have additional questions, Norma, I assume folks can get in touch with you or your the new CEO or other members of your team. I'm sure you could pass the questions on to them for some of those details as people plan similar types of events. And thank you, Jerry, and congratulations again, both of you, and for your careers and there we go. There we go. There's information. Wonderful. Yes, congratulations to both of you on the next stages of your journeys in your retirements. So everyone, our next webinar is scheduled for next week on Thursday, April 22nd, and we're going to be presenting on hybrid learning opportunities by the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce team. And they're going to be talking about what it takes to pull off a hybrid event, which includes in-person and virtual components. Sometimes it's really two events in one. How do they do it? Log in next week to find out on Thursday, April 22nd. And you can find that information to register on our webinar page. And I'm going to try to send that around the chat. There we go. I've also sent around the link where you can find the recording to this webinar along with the handouts, and that should be available hopefully by tomorrow, and if not, no later than Monday the 19th. So you can find all the information you want there, including presentation slides. So thanks again, Jerry and Norma. Appreciate the time you took today. Thank you everyone for your participation and interest, and we will see all of you on our next ACC webinar. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.